Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Austin Wingfield. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for having me on, fellas.
No worries. Thanks for being here, dog. So, it's been a busy day. Just like,
Slightly
average size busy.
Within the last 2 or 3 hours at this point, GW hit us with Chapter Approved and Mortarion.
And Mortarion?
And there's codexes coming out. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on. I'd say it was above average day, Rob.
It was. It's probably, it's probably like a 7 on the busy scale. I think in that Mortarion picture, there's definitely some jump troops. You can see some large, fatty Nurgle jump troops with some plasma gun type weaponry on the scaffold. So looks like a couple of things in there.
I like plasma guns.
I like plasma.
A lot of people like plasma. You know what I like even more? -1 to hit and what it does to plasma.
Yeah, boy.
People play that wrong, Kenny. You should explain.
Well, people didn't think about it because all these modifiers new to the 40K crowd. It's not that new to the AOS crowd, but like people always kind of looked at it as like my ballistic skill change, right? Like if I needed a 3 to hit, now I need a 4 to hit. That's not what a -1 is. It's -1 to the hit roll. So it's literally whatever you roll is -1. And any type of reroll you have, all your rerolls happen before you apply mod. So like you do your rules, then I do mine, right? We've talked about it at length. So let's say you are these scions, you drop in with 1 billion shots that hit on 3s, reroll on 1s. So you take up all these dice, you throw them in the air. You say, okay, 2s, 3s, all that stuff is not a 1 yet. You take all your 1s, you flip them, cool. Now I'm like, all right, guys, like this, you got to be on your opponent because like a lot of people like always pulling shit out, then clearing dice. You got to say, just pull out the 1s and re-roll them. Now I apply my modifier. All those like 6 2s that you rolled, those are 1s.
They're all dead.
Like you just lost all your plasma guns, homie. Like, so that, I mean, so GW brought that to our attention and like a lot of people just weren't playing it that way. And then now it's like, oh shit. Like with my list, cause I use the changeling, like I'm all about some people trying to drop some signs on me. I'm like, you're going to alpha strike me. You're going to need 4s to hit, not 3s. And you're going to lose half your plasma guns. I love it. Plasma guns still good though. I still like them.
No, I mean, I think there's a different place, a definite place for a lot of things. If you absolutely need to hedge your bets and overload something, you got to get it done. You got to get it done. But there's enough stuff out there that can maybe mitigate it and make it air quotes safe. But at the end of the day, GW even says like that new box of Hellblasters, like it comes with like bionics and like horribly scarred plasma faces because, even the Primaris Marines have suffered like plasma accidents. So yeah, it's a thing. It's plaguing the.
I remember my first plasma accident.
You know who doesn't care about plasma accidents? Mortarion.
He is a plasma. His face is a plasma accident.
If we're going to talk about Mortarion, I want Haspil to only be. I want him to be to continue this conversation, but I want him to pretend that he's Mordrag.
The eternal hatred is real.
Mordrag or Drago?
Well, I was going to do Drago, but like I know your kindred spirit's Mordrag, so I was going to go with that.
Well, Mordrag has no beef. He's got no beef. With
he's 100% okay with Mortarion.
Well, not 100%. I mean, he's got beef, but it's more like, it ain't East Coast, West Coast.
So it's like beef jerky. Not full beef. Like
he doesn't like him, but
all right, fine.
But Drago is like straight up,
Fine, you don't have to be Drago. Rob, tabletop marketplace.
I refuse. No. All right. So this week, well, if you haven't heard, we've got 2 books coming out. Of course, the Grey Knight book and the Fantastic Chaos book, and their accessory data cards packs. $15 for data cards, $40 for the books. I think the Grey Knight book, I want to say, is only like 115 pages, and the Chaos book is about 140. Compared to the Space Marine book, which was like 208. So a little bit less content, but of course it's $10 cheaper. So not too bad. I mean, hardcover format, they look pretty dope from what I've seen so far. As as far as that goes. Also this week is the Primaris Hellblasters that we talked about and the Intercessors, both $60 box sets. And I think
wait, how much money?
6 is
6-0 for how many Intercessors?
10.
Okay, I was gonna 10 is a good number.
So that's actually a better deal than we thought,
right? They're multi-part. Yeah, I mean you get a lot of different options in there. You don't get the power sword, curiously enough. That comes in the upgrade sprue.
That's not bad. That's not bad for those dollars. Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have been preconditioned to think that $60 is not that much money because I play 40K.
I mean, it's on par with the Terminators, and you get 5 Terminators for like $60 for some of the special ones. So, I mean, now you're getting 10 troops that are kind of the size of Terminators. So I guess it's not that bad. But I mean, value-wise, I like the Hellblasters because they have multiple ways you can take their guns, like how they put them together. Like it's like the stock and like the top of the gun just before you get to the barrel is a bit, and then you can put a different front barrel on there depending on which one you want to use. And there's also a little piece that you can put on the rail, like a targeter kind of thing. And then if you want to take the super heavy plasma version of it, there's a backpack with cables that come up and around. And then they got a couple of different variations that look pretty cool with like the one guy holding the plasma rifle down straight out, like hand out, true grit, and a bolt pistol, because they all come with bolt pistols. Remember, the Hellblasters all get bolt pistols. So, and the sergeant can switch one out for the plasma. So they look fresh, like pose wise, model wise, look dope. $60 for those guys too. And then Valdis is out this week as a standalone clan pack for $40. And remember, he was with the Triumvirate, which I think was priced at $90 with Cypher and Guilliman previously, before 8th drop. So that's this week's releases. Going on pre-order this Saturday will be the Primaris upgrade sprue for $15. The Primaris Interceptors, which is the jump dudes, which we saw have some plasma weapons, the cool helmets, the flip down like welding re-entry mask, the Adeptus Astartes dice for $20, a couple of terrain kits, the Bar Bracken, the Creeping Vines, and the Citadel Skulls box, all $25 each, and a couple of novels, Black Legion, Path of Heaven, in paperback for the Horus Heresy. Black Legion's hardback, so it's $27. Horus Heresy's $9.99, and Kingsblade paperback on the Fantasy / Age of Sigmar side. So pretty decent lineup of new releases, on the Games Workshop side of things there, coming out this week. I think there was a couple other smaller independent releases, like Wargaming Exclusives has its Abaddon version, I think just started shipping out. Creature Caster has a new miniature they're looking at shipping out or getting on the market here soon as well, which I'm sure we'll see at some point this month. So that's pretty much it from the major people. FFGs. There's always like
you're talking about Creature Cast, and I'm like literally holding my Lady of Corruption right now.
Probably.
Like I was trying to find a place to put her so that I wouldn't knock her down while I lean my seat back. And you're all like, Creature Cast got a new model. I was like, oh shit.
What are you using her as?
Me, I'm just as tutorial material for my channel.
She's a badass.
I mean, she's
honestly reminds me of Kerrigan.
Yeah,
StarCraft.
she's definitely very Kerrigan-esque. If you guys haven't seen her, I've been painting her live on Twitch. She is an amazing model. She is, I guess, obviously the hot topic is she's topless. We've all seen topless miniatures before, but she is really topless, I guess. If she's super naked, but she's awesome.
She's also got freckles.
Yeah, well, I mean, mine does, but she's intense. She's a great mini. She's terrifying. She's awesome. We're painting her live. We're doing a lot of work on her.
And I'll be starting the Warrior Demon, which is the Bloodthirster looking one. Very, very ginormous miniature. I did
dude's a beast.
Yeah. Sculpted, or not sculpted, but I converted up a base for him to go around the little resin cliff piece that he's hanging off of. So he can be fielded in a similar fashion to a Bloodthirster, same size base.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I know we just purchased the Zinch one, the big Lord of Change.
Oh, the Forge World one?
No, I think Creature Caster.
Creature Caster has one. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
It's
The creepy looking bird with the staff.
Yeah, it's a badass bird. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that as well.
Yeah, that one's gonna be fresh. I haven't even. Oh, you know what? I haven't even seen one of those painted yet.
And I think we're hearing from special guest Jason Craze. What are you painting on Twitch?
Hello, is this thing on? Hey guys, what am I painting on Twitch? We're doing a focus this week on a little game called Deep Wars from a little company called Antimatter Games. And
It's actually a really cool game.
it is a pretty cool game.
Yeah.
It uses an older rule set that they kind of co-opted in and changed up. I can't ever remember the mile-long name of the original rule set. One of our viewers brought it up the other day. It's very heavy rules, but the miniatures themselves are very, very cool. We were hoping to talk to the Antimatter guys. It's kind of a think Lovecraftian meets Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with all these weird tentacled horrors and, madness kind of things, ancient Atlantean civilizations long lost. So really neat. It's kind of 17th century steampunkish. So all sorts of real cool genres brought together. I think the coolest thing for me is that it's underwater, right? This part, the Deep Wars part, is fought mainly in underwater scenarios. They also have a more land-based version of the game where all of your guys aren't in big dive suits, and you have to you can't like move and turn, because you can imagine building momentum in water. You don't just stop and turn on a dime. So there's lots of cool momentum and depth things. And we've been teaching people how to use inks through the airbrush this week, because of the fact that fish are kind of neat and bright colors, and you can get some real cool transparent effects and things going on. So it's been a lot of fun.
That sounds fresh. I will definitely tune in.
Oh, hell yeah.
At least once, maybe twice.
You bastard. You leave cat hair all over the place, man. We know when you've been here, because we can see. It's like, I don't own a cat, and all of my black shirts now have cat hair on them.
Dog, I told you, just use a roller. It's fine.
Get good, scrub. I mean, it's true though. Like, he used to build models for me, and they'd come to my house. He'd ship them to me. They'd show up, and I would like prime them, and there'd be like cat hairs embedded in the primer.
Oh yeah,
not a real thing.
Oh, it's for real.
Making words up.
I'm slightly, like, barely allergic to cats, and it's now polluted my own home, because when I hang out with Rob down there, it's followed me back to Richmond. So thanks for that.
Thanks, bro.
DJ Roomba takes offense to you you're dissatisfied you being dissatisfied with his job, which is
the Roomba,
my vacuum cleaner.
It has a name.
That's his Roomba with a iPad or iPad player or whatever on top.
Does it seriously have a spot to plug in your iPod on top?
No, it was from
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm not a TV guy, because I was thinking that was definitely a back of the airplane seat purchase.
It was hilarious. But so let's talk about Chaos Space Marines.
Chaos Space Marines.
Oh, I'm very excited. We got to see that ridiculous video on YouTube where apparently someone had gotten early advance, and they made a video about it with a very nice video that showed a lot of pages off, flipping through it pretty quick and jumping around a lot. It was really hard to follow. So it took me and Alan about 3 hours on the phone, going back and forth, trying to like dissect it all and digest all the Chaos Codex. And this is our takeaway. It's a lot of good stuff. If you're a Chaos player, there's nothing you can say right now. Like, there's no dissatisfaction, because everything that's coming out for Chaos is better than it once was.
You think it's better than the 7th edition last update they got?
No, but
it's back on par with good armies again.
It's not as good it's not as huge of an improvement. Like, that book, The Traitors Legions, was like the biggest improvement. Like, the thing is, that's an easy improvement, right? Like, it was so bad. So,
but this is not on that level.
No, but Chaos wasn't on that shitty level before, though. Like, True. Chaos came out the gate with the index pretty decent. And so this comes out, devouring it. Stratagems are looking on point. Warlord traits looking on point. We got some great looking artifacts. It's a good looking book. But here's that takeaway. Here's like what I took from the book was, it seems to me GW has an intent right now. GW wants to put out these books with chapter tactics, with Legion traits and everything. And it looks like they want to heavily reward you as a player and consumer of their IP for putting down a somewhat narrative-based army in the fact of like it's all one legion and it's all going to fight a certain cohesive way, and they're going to give you some really access to some amazing psychic powers, stratagems, and warlord traits and artifacts to reward you for that. Because hey, you're probably sort of handicapping yourself a little bit because you might have a more optimized way to play that you sort of have to compromise to make everything fit into this detachment. But they're going to more than recompensate you with these new rules, and that's why. But that's why it's a detachment. This is a Chaos Space Marine detachment. So to gain access to a Chaos Space Marine detachment, you simply need to have all the units in there have to be Legion, right? And if they're not, it's not a Chaos Space Marine detachment. So that means you right out the gate, that kind of fixes horrors, right? Even though horrors are in the book, you can't take them. You can't like unlock a battalion, Chaos Space Marine detachment, and then throw horrors in the troop slot because they don't have that rule. You don't get to have a Chaos Space Marine detachment. So the only reason
can I have an army where I can take horrors in the troop slot?
Oh yeah, like I'll give you one. I'll give you two. But the reason they included all the lesser demons was because demonic ritual is in the book, and so they already had access to demonic ritual. They just want to reinforce that. So the idea is that you can bring demons and summon them using your reinforcement points. It's really cool. But to me, the intent was that they wanted your whole army to be this legion, but that's not the rules. The rules is a detachment. So Battleforged armies are a collection of detachments. So what was hot on the street was we all thought Magnus was going to have access to this 3-up invulnerable.
As soon as we saw that psychic power,
we were like, oh, Magnus has 3-up invulnerable. Booyah. Well, he doesn't, sorry. Because in this book, it specifically says Thousand Suns and Death Guard do not count for this stuff. You don't get to have it. You don't get to be a Chaos Space Marine detachment and be, well, 1,000 Suns. So that was like, oh, but you can still do it. That's the point. It's like you're still a workaround, and it kind of is weird to me. Like, to use an example of, I have a list that I play with 3 Maulafines, 3 Helldrakes, a shitload of horrors, Magnus, Changeling, Armon, Blue Scribe. I got all this cool shit, right? And I'm like, how do I play that still? And also have a 3-up invulnerable, right? Well, there's a pretty easy way. I just took a Vanguard detachment, Iron Warriors Legion, Mark of Tzeentch, which is kind of weird, but you can do it. And I take a Sorcerer of Tzeentch with a jump pack, and he has access to that power. This make a dude have a 3-up invulnerable with an 18 inches power, or plus one of their invulnerable. And it gives you access to other psychic powers like the Hex, which lets you straight remove invulnerable saves. These guys, you can target Rabute Gilman and say he can no longer take invulnerable saves until my next second phase. It's an amazing power. I have access to that now. I take a Vanguard so I can still take my Maulafines and some Helldrakes, gain access to artifacts that improve my wounds, my armor save, all these cool things for free, warlord traits, everything. I can even play stratagems that make my demon engines better, all this cool shit, right? And then I just take a battalion that has Changeling and Blue Scribe and all my horrors and my last Helldrake, and then I just take my Lord of War detachment and have Magnus. It's literally the same army, and I have like a shitload of horrors still in demonic ritual, and it's like the same exact list, but now I get to take your invulnerable save away and have a 3-up reroll in ones on Magnus.
Sounds pretty good.
I don't know if that's what GW wanted me to do. You see what I'm saying? Like, it feels like they wanted me to make a Battleforged army with this Legion to gain all these cool rules. I just cherry picked the one rule I wanted and it made the same army by just being slightly more creative with my detachments. So I would have loved to have a dialogue.
Detachments, right?
Yeah, but I would love to have a dialogue with GW where it's like, hey, is your intent that like we just have like this cool ass like Iron Warriors army, the end? Or are you down with allowing people to cherry pick the one second power they want and still play the same list they have by being slightly more creative?
We'll have to see if it gets out of control. But like you said, there's too many ways right now to get the workaround in any list you're trying to do. If there's a trick you want to do, there's a way to get it and still stay Battleforged. Or there's new codexes coming out. There's going to be ways to still get the trick you want and then take, an all guard detachment, and guard will benefit from something else, or chaos, like you're doing the chaos trick. So they're going to really have to pay attention, but they have been, if people complain about it or inquire enough, I think they're not afraid to FAQ it. That's for sure.
Well, I don't I don't think they're afraid to FAQ anything at this point. I mean, it's like if you don't like the rules of 8th edition, just wait 5 minutes. I mean, it's the same as
You did it. You said the title.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
We don't talk about the title of the show. It's clickbait only.
But it's true though. Like so much has changed. I mean, just, the last 3 hours in the evening, on a Wednesday night, like things change, so it's like, and now you got 2 books in 1 week. It's a lot of content to keep up with. So maybe that's another thing too, when you come to the tabletop, and like, I actually thought, and we talked about this in the pregame, Calidus Assassin, I thought the Calidus Assassin, anytime you use a command point on a 4-up, it costs you an extra command point. I thought that was the whole game until I actually read it today while we were talking about it. And I was like, oh, it's only for the first battle round. And I was like, it's not as good, but a lot of people do a lot of good things. Spend a lot of command points the first battle round, and they specify you can't do it before the game starts.
That's me. I spend 3 every time. You know what I'm saying?
So you might have to spend 4 or 5, and that could throw somebody's game plan.
You tell me all I can do is roll 4. It'd be 6 every time if it was me. I'll make it rain for us. But on the subject of this, so like my point is, it could be moot because the Thousand Suns book might come out and it's just whatever. They can do all those things I just said, right? But here's like the big thing. So Brimstone Horrors. That's been a bit of a controversial subject, right? Now, Brimstone Horrors are not razor flock level of abusive, which got the Fat Hammer, right? They got their points doubled, right? And they were already, so they weren't that though. They weren't 480 wounds that can fly across the table. They're like, they're chilling here, grabbing objectives. They can't kill anything, but they're dicks to deal with because changeling and ethereal form, warp and vulnerable, right? But there's a lot of them. They're 2 points. That's so 2 points is either too few because of ethereal form or remove ethereal form. That was always what I was saying. I was like, I feel like you just remove ethereal form and it's fine. They have 5 of them vulnerable. But GW raised their point costs in this book from 2 points to 3 points. So that does matter if you're one of those people who wants to run like 180 of them or some crazy shit. That totally changed the math. And at first I was like, that's nothing, GW. That was a shitty FAQ. That doesn't change the fact that there's still 4 points and there's still -1 to hit because of changeling. That doesn't change anything. I'm still going to take 60 or 80 or whatever. And you're still going to have just as hard of a time dealing with it. I'm barely going to sacrifice anything on my list to make it happen.
So, here, Kenny, real quick. That's just in the Chaos Space Marine book, right?
But it does say that you always use the most up-to-date data slate. Is what it says in the FAQ or whatever. Like, so it says whenever that you're presented with 2 data slates with the same unit, you always use the most up to date. So it is the data slate now.
Gotcha.
And but blue horrors went down on points, so they're trying to say like play more blue horrors, guys. And then they like changed how smite works, so it's not quite as good. And I'm like, but smite wasn't even the problem. So I was like, this is dumb until I saw this trend. In the chapter tactics trend and the legions trend. It said basically, like if you play this legion, this chaos space marine detachment, which means you have all the legions and everything, all the legion keywords and everything, that your troops have quote unquote essentially objective secure. I was like, oh shit, horrors could never get that. Brimstone horrors can never have objective secure. They're never gonna have that. I was like, okay, never mind, GW. I was totally fucking wrong. You were right. 1 point raise, chase smite all day. None of that matters. The fact that I can have as many as I want, but you're going to have objective security. I'm not. Fuck yeah. Until today.
You waited 5 minutes.
I waited 5 minutes.
He said it.
And please, somebody explain what happened to chapter approved to directly contradict what I just said.
Oh, so I just read the article again for fun. And they dropped a couple rules coming out in the chapter approved book. It looks like it's coming out in a few months. Mm-hmm. But objective security is back for all troops in Battleforged detachments. Yeah. And it's pretty much verbatim 7th edition. So
everything I just gave them credit for, Brimstone Horrors are back. I'm like, oh, well, there's a balance. Wait, you mean that I have this? So I have, to recap, I have a Chaos Space Marine detachment that doesn't require me to take troops in it, just so I can abuse this 1 psychic power and some of these special rules, right? And then I was going to take 3 Maulers anyway. So I take the HQ, the 3 Maulers. I've taken this. No troops have been selected. Then Now that I've gotten those 2 sacred powers, I want the Hex and this +1 vulnerable, I take a battalion with Changeling and all those things and horrors, and they're still objective secure. So everything I just said, get out of here. Like, that was like, that's what I'm always saying. It's like, I feel like we're going to have bigger dialogues as a community. There's easier ways. I still stand by it. Brimstone horrors are not OP if they're a 5-up vulnerable, if you remove a feral form. This 1 point increase, now with the addition of objective secure, Brimstone horrors, 100% OP.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? I was too busy chasing my tail.
No, they went from 2 points to 3 points, but they got better with objective secure.
Yeah. So, and it literally, and I'm like, I'm not even playing a different list. I have the same amount of Brimstones in my list that I had 5 minutes ago, even though they're 3 points now instead of 2. I'm just like, I'm gonna just move some points around because I really want this. I really want to have 60 to 80.
Well, that's what it said in the article. They're like, playing in some tournaments soon. Get ready to change those lists up, guys.
Yeah, they actually specifically stated tournaments.
Yeah, change those list ups. AKA,
you know how mad I would be if I just spent weeks, and it's not even weeks. Like the book just came, like the main rules just came out June 16th. We're not even 2 months in. So how many times am I supposed to restart and repay my moms for my army for these stupid tournaments?
Oh, come on. Let's not talk about repainting. How many guys out there are listening to this right now that bought flyers?
See, and like none of that really bothers me. The part that bothers me is that there has been a historical precedent established in the sanctity. Like me and Haspil talk about all the time. Like as war gamers, there's a couple things you don't fuck with, right? One of them is points. You gotta have a way to play with points. You gotta be able to purchase things. And the other one is historically, any changes to the rules that happen inside of 30 days from the start of a tournament, whether it's at your local game store or it was a GT back in the day, those rules don't apply to the tournament because people did not have enough time to prepare, not just with their army lists and painting and building, but memorization and proficiency in the new rules that have been created.
Yeah. So what happened to flyers? I just scored like 5 Storm Ravens on eBay, like dirt cheap. Like,
no, you're good, dude. You're good.
I'm good. All right, I'm still good for Nova then. All right,
yeah, you're straight.
Just show up, shake hands, and then go get a drink. Come back to the next game, shake hands, go get a drink.
But here's what I'm saying. Like now, GW is saying that these tournaments are using these rules from a book that hasn't even been released yet. They haven't even put it out. They put a document out, which isn't an FAQ. They put a document out on their website or an article, whatever you want to call it, on their website about a book that's not out. And now they're like, oh, by the way, these tournaments have adopted these rules. Are you kidding me? Like, seriously, am I taking crazy pills right now?
Yeah, this is not even a book that anyone has in hands. And you're going to
3 weeks out from a major tournament. And now my list just changed again.
Well, you guys, you heard it here first. Literally tomorrow, watch FAQ. These rules will be in an FAQ. They'll be in pink though. They'll be in pink words.
But I'm just saying, like, I appreciate the fact that Games Workshop has come on board, big boy status, taking an active role in the games, becoming involved to, correct any imbalance.
Came in too hot. Coming in
too hot, dude. If you're gonna pull an FFG and you're gonna pull a WotC, you gotta pull an FFG and you gotta pull a WotC. Like you gotta pull up. You gotta check your brakes. You cannot do this every week.
Let me tell an anecdote real quick before we go on break and we cover the rest of chapter approved and maybe do a little adversarial journalism. I want to tell this anecdote because I think it's really relevant. So I used to do construction for a living, right? And this is one time me and this guy Nick that I used to do construction with, we're hanging sheetrock, right? We're putting up all this drywall and everything, and it's like in a shitty little office that we've done this to like 4 or 5 times because the nature of reasons, and so. We got some trash, right? We got like the wrapping of the sheetrock, the stickers, the price, and like the Home Depot bag it came in, right? And there's no insulation in these walls, nothing is, like they're just literally in a room so they can have like fake office, meetings. And then 2 months from now, they'll tell us to change it. And he's like, damn, did you already take out the trash? So I was like, yeah. He's like, where'd you put the trash? I was like, I put it in the wall. So I'll tell you what this was. So I put like a Home Depot trash bag with like some more plastic in it in the wall. And I was like, good to go. And then he's like, damn, that's genius. And then so 3 weeks later, we're in there again. Like I told you, like fixing things, changing things. Cause like, hey, you know what? That conference was great. Like we want to do this. We'll make these changes. And we do it again. I was like, damn, wait, where did that trash go? He's like, I put it in the wall. I was like, too real. You literally put like a whole bag of trash, like sodas, our lunch, our discarded, like, and cheeseburger wrappers, like everything inside the wall. I was like, dog, I respect your ambition, but that is too real. And that's how I feel GW is coming in right now.
Real hot, putting trash on the wall.
Putting
with the
trash
cheeseburger wrappers.
with the cheeseburger wrappers in the motherfucking wall.
You never get rid of cheese paper like that.
So yeah, that is kind of ridiculous. I mean, we're talking about Novas right down next couple weeks, right? I mean, just to say that you have to change your list, or that, hey, you just bought 4 Forge World flyers and now they can't score objectives, period. That hurts people's feelings, man. I mean,
like, it's actually exactly 14 days away. You got to be there the 23rd.
Well, yeah, 14 days away, Nova, chapter approved, objective secure units, flyers cannot score, and they finally made it official. Is that what I'm reading?
correct. I mean, the verbiage on the article that we referenced is point blank. If you are a flyer, you do not score objectives, period.
What I'm just saying is these are a rules preview for a book that's not released yet in an article. But tournaments are already adopting said rules.
Are they just adopting those?
Not released.
Are they just adopting those 3?
But not 100% confirmed, but Nova's leadership has definitely made comments of that. Yes, absolutely. Said, hey, too bad, 2 weeks away. Sorry, guys. Or
it's 3 weeks away. It's the 31st. So, but still, like, that's historical. That's unprecedented. It happened at Bay Area Open, and I said, let's wait till it's a trend, guys, before it's a thing, right? Because they did that shit like a week out, where they changed major flags and everything.
Sorry, I got a week ahead. It is 3 weeks away.
And then they did another 3-weeker. So this is historical. This has never happened before. And so why I would ask you guys, like, in all the years you play 4K, for me it's like 18. For some of you guys, 30, I guess. I don't know how old you guys are.
I'm like 10.
In all the years you've been playing 40K, have you ever seen this happen? No, but let me ask you this. What's the new thing that's happening that you've also never seen happen?
We've never seen them put out adjustments, addendums, FAQs in this rapid. I mean, every week is something.
Have you ever seen them reach out directly with the community and the influencers and work with them and source them for intel and playtesting?
That's no saying someone playtested is big words, but no.
Have you ever seen them totally saddle up to somebody else's physical tournament infrastructure?
No, we've also never seen them call out these said tournaments and tell them
that even acknowledge the existence
of them. Yeah, that's true.
So we've got 2 things that have never happened before. So I would just say, like, obviously correlation doesn't equal causation, but like I would say maybe it does here, and that there's a cause and an effect here. And I think that the simple reason that this is happening is people are doing stuff for GW, and now they have to do what GW says. I think that in essence, like, obviously the facts.
I can see that,
but I think that's what's happened. I think that people have to do what GW says now.
I could sum this up in a great movie quote from one of the most famous movies out there. It probably won an Academy Award at some point. I forget.
Let me one.
No. This is a different one. This is a more better one. No. And
we've already outlined the only movies that count outside of Highlander are Conan and Wrath of Khan.
Well, this one counts. And the quote is, grass, gas, or ass, nobody rides for free.
Okay. Oh, that is Conan. That was Conan.
Yeah, probably.
We're going to be talking about potentially even more gangster shit, because like we said, if you don't like 8th edition, wait 5 minutes. This episode is brought to you by Elric's Hobbies. Check out elricshobbies.com and take your hobby to that next level.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com.
Gas, crass, or ass, no one rides for free.
And we're back. So let's talk about the final piece of the equation for this chapter approved video leak / article.
And you knew what was coming.
Actually, we had a pretty objective discussion about this rule. And this is the whole, like, you know, you deploy your army first, you can go first, a second, you get the choice. We had a big talk about it because people came out and already changed it. And we were like, hey, let's have an objective discussion about it as a community. And maybe GW, you know, because now that we know they're out there peeping other people's Facebooks and podcasts, and maybe we can contribute some positive ways to the Long War community, which I think we did. We have had a post up since that day on the Spikey Bits community page. It's got over 75 comments, people sharing their stories and their opinions about the whole concept of, should I deploy first, and should I automatically have the decision to go first or second, or should it be a roll-off still? Should I get a modifier to the roll if I deploy first? It's over 75 comments, lots of reach, lots of exposure. And the ruling came in that it is officially been changed to, yes, it's still a roll-off, but you do indeed get a +1. So I think that's pretty cool. The community kind of came together. Everyone talked about it. People were sharing it everywhere. And I like to think that GW is, you know, taking a look at the Spikey Bits Hobbies page and like the Long War Network and everything.
So what do you think about the rule? I like it. I think I prefer that. So I'm happy for the changes.
And I mean, it's whatever to me. Like, I just don't think it matters. I think people going first because terrain is so shitty. I think that it just doesn't matter who goes first. I don't care if you go first, I go first, if it's this crippling advantage or disadvantage. Now, it's not 100% a disadvantage or an advantage, but whatever that percentage is, I think it's too high. And so I understood the deploy first, go first mechanic, because you were saying, like, I'm a small ass army. Let me fucking come in here to have some kind of advantage to do some damage before these guys fuck me up. And especially in a spam versus spam world, I think that's important. But it just doesn't matter because it's a crippling advantage, disadvantage. And we'll just say, we used to say 50%. Okay, let's call it 20%. If 20% of games are being decided on the first turn, that's still too high.
Agreed.
And so I think that's the problem. So I think this is a Band-Aid at best. I literally don't care about this ruling. And not anymore. Not after we got our first beta test in, because this was discussed before the ATCs. And then ATCs happened, the first official, in my opinion, beta test. And look what happened. They came out with a shitload of FAQs that directly correlated to the results of the ATCs. So GW is clearly watching, and they're clearly making these rules based on that. But now where we're at in the game, I just don't see it really mattering.
Gotcha. Yeah, I follow you. I was leaning the other way, but you've convinced me with your words of wisdom. I mean, extremes are extremes. I've got, our Baneblade list from ATC. It was 3 tanks and like 5 command squads inside the 1 tank, just to go first, and the damage output was enormous. So, obviously, he did very well. Was our leader on our team with points and stuff. So. That list is not as good now. If he can't go first, that list dies a lot.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said for future proofing your list against not going against the battle rounds. Not going first or whatever. But at the end of the day, first turn is so utterly powerful, and I think we've talked about that. And I do like the creative fix that they did for the flyer issue. And the razor span was, obviously needed to be brought in line, or that would have filled the vacuum. So I'm glad they did that. But I think, we talk about the terrain issue. It is a real thing, because it doesn't matter who goes first at this point. Like, if you have enough guns, you have enough whatever, you're just going to blow the other guy off the table or cripple him.
Well, I mean, it's not 100%. There are no deploy lists. There are defensive lists. And that's why I'm saying it's not 100%. But I'm saying in a game system where it happens even more than 1% of the time, I think that's too much.
It's a large percentage of the time that if you heard that percentage, in the weather forecast, you'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to bring an umbrella. Sure. But
If you had an all-time 25% chance that we're gonna have a hurricane today, you'd be like, "What the fuck?
Why do I live here?" First of all,
That's too high. That's too high. You know what I'm saying?
So coming into 8th edition, that's the first thing I saw was, oh my god, deploy first, go first. I prefer building a list like my Gene Stealer cult that says I'm going second every game, dude, and you're gonna kill, if nothing important, and I'm still going to get to play because my entire army null deploys.
You know, and I know that Jason's kind of a game expert. So, like, is there a silver lining here? Because I was kind of thinking, like, is this potentially GW saying to us, "Don't fucking tailor your lists, homeboys"?
Don't tailor your lists.
Yeah, like if you keep trying to tailor your lists for like to abuse some other element within the system, the rug might get pulled out from under you at any time. So are they like secretly saying to us, "We don't want you to take 3 many units, but we don't want to tell you not to"? You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to tell you.
Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe. I mean, it feels like they would be of the mindset that if they just throw those rules out, since they're in this community kind of, wholesome, like we're talking about, everybody gets to have their input. If they throw out a rule that's very straightforward and very, cut and dry, here's the deal. Obviously, you're going to have your naysayers and you're not. And so that can kind of rock the boat. So this might be kind of hedging their bets. I think that it would be in their best interest to continue to write rules that make it to where there are these, I don't want to call them hard caps, but things that exist that set these boundaries that allow it to be where you don't try to game the system with, one tilted thing that you're doing, letter of the words in the book as opposed to the spirit of the game kind of thing. And we hear that all the time. And, you have the people that abuse it and whatever, and no company can be perfect. But I'm with you. I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of middle of the road. I think last week on stream when we said it, that there was a much easier fix for it, but
I don't know. I just me personally, I don't like this yo-yo FAQs that we got going.
It's bad. It's bad for the community. We see it. The same problem is happening with Privateer Press right now with their whole community embedded thing. And some people say it's not a problem. Some people say it's great. That's the thing. When you involve the community, it's always this teeter-totter. And who's on the happy side and who's on the mad side is always changing. It's not like you can say, okay, here's this group that's always happy and here's this group that's always sad based on what we do. That's not, we'd like to think that. There's always these whinging gamers. They're the ones that are always pissed. Now, some of those guys are happy some of the time. Then they get pissed some of the time. Some of these guys over here that are mad all the time get happy and mad and so on and so forth. And so, I don't know. It's tough, right? As a small game manufacturer, you can tread that line a lot easier because people have a different emotional attachment to you as a small guy. They relate to you more. They can imagine doing this in their garage. They can imagine this doing with 5 employees. For GW, nobody has that emotional attachment to them. They can't get to the level where they can say, "Oh, I understand why GW does this. It's hard to make games." No, they all demand GW makes better stuff because they got hundreds of employees and are publicly traded and dividends and money and lawsuits and all this stuff that we talk about. It's like, no, get off your asses and make the game. Tell us what it is. Do it correct. Make a good rule set. You're so huge, you should be able to do this. And
I mean, yeah, I am disappointed in the state, and I don't care if so-and-so hinted at what, when, where, some play tester or some guy here, like this many changes, this many yo-yo effects in a game that has not even been live for 2 months is flawed product. I mean, to be honest, and I don't want to say, I'm coming in too hot on flawed product. Like it wasn't a finished product to be released. This is like a video game.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to ask. Would you feel differently if GW had put out the indexes and then said, "Hey, this is going to be an open alpha. And we're going to, for the next 6 months, we're going to be tweaking the game like crazy to put out the best edition we possibly can."
Because if they give those rules
for free, then no, I wouldn't, because that's the way alpha would be.
That's true. And don't tell me for weeks, literally weeks leading up to the release of said product that this is the game I asked for. You've listened to everything I've said, and here it is. Here it is. I'll tell you what, if you had told me 2 months later that it would be like this, I would not have been very happy and very optimistic and been as
well. Rob, that's not fair.
Yeah,
they told us They told us what they needed, what we needed to hear to buy the new merch.
Yes, they sure did.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
What gets me is the play testing. If you think you play tested and then you're changing this much, then we need to redefine play testing, in my opinion. But how do you feel if you're like a brand new person to the game? You're like,
hey, I heard this 40K was really good. What do you think?
Yeah, you get in, but like,
here's the thing. I think if you're a brand new person to the game, you're not worried about these issues. I'll be very honest, because you know why? Because I'm not worried about these issues, because I'm not playing competitively in this edition.
True.
I'm so busy with other stuff right now that I really can't. I'm just playing at the local game store, and none of this matters to me.
Well, you got to realize, like, a new person to the game, to Michael's point, is that you wind up being so overwhelmed with the cool factor in this and the story. If you're really new to the game, this doesn't matter to you. This is a non-consequence.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's
100%.
I mean, I'm obviously a little too close because all the, keeping up with everything and trying to correlate and trying to reference and trying to do all these things. So
It's made Rob's job a little harder. So he's a little salty right now.
Sure, I'm a little salty over it, but you know, at the end of the day, in 4th edition or in 3rd edition, they're like, hey guys, here's this, and it wasn't chapter approved at the time, or maybe it was, I forget. But they're like, yo, we're gonna come out with some new rules. Yeah, it actually was, and we're gonna introduce something called trial assault rules. Here you go. Here's your 3.5, and they told us up front.
That was literally it always comes back to 4th edition. Why does it always fucking come back? Because the 4th edition was good.
Yeah.
Right. They gave us this. We actually actively beta test out in the open as a community for them. I mean, that's when me and Haspil met in Colorado, was in trial assault rules, trial vehicle rules, going from 3rd to 4th. It was like 3.5 before 4th dropped. It was amazing. And I have heard through the grapevine, like through people who've had direct contact with people at GW during that time, who admitted, as I protect my source, that said people at GW admitted that 4th edition, in their opinion, was the worst thing they ever did. And you're like, wait, what? And their point was because it made people who consume our product and love our product, it made them expect this level for like tournaments to be competitive. It was a tournament renaissance. And that wasn't what we were about. And so now every time we don't do that, this is what we have to deal with this. But
Yeah.
But to Haspil's point, I couldn't agree more, because this chapter approved, everything's for match play that they just brought up. Those 3 powerhouse fucking juggernaut changes, match play. Like, you don't have to play match play. As a matter of fact, there's a huge section of the book that's not match play. So this doesn't affect new player acquisition. The new fresh models coming out, combined with like easy to understand core rules and robust narrative games, that's huge. That's a huge positive. We are talking specifically from the point of because we like the balance here, because we don't like there to be a division, because we are hobbyists, we're gamers, we're players. We paint models to all day, every day. We do all these things that are all the elements of the hobby. So we are super hobbyists, but we're also super competitive. So we want both of those things. I don't play narrative missions. I don't play open missions. None of that. I only play match play. So I'm only discussing match play. And this shit is hard right now.
That's a good point. You look at all the FAQs, like bird flocks doubled in points, but their power level didn't change, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so like you said, if you're not playing match play and you're just playing a pickup game, I mean, nothing really changed. I agree with you guys. I think
yeah, I feel like, and I'm willing to go through this level of pain if because honestly, I think it's a small level for me anyway, personally. It's a small level, but I'm willing to go through this if a year from now we have the most solid edition of 40K we've ever had.
But I mean, what if we come back a year from now and they literally change the game just as much as they have in the 2 months we've seen?
But honestly, Rob, if a year from now they drop 9th edition and it's the best edition of 40K ever,
sure.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
The only fear that I have along those lines. The only thing I have along those lines is that it's easy for us to say that there is, let's call it, casual and competitive, and that the casual player doesn't really ever feel these effects. That's not wholly true. When we say that they're not concerned with the effects of the rules and how it's all being, meted out to us right before another tournament at Nova and so on and so forth, that part of it's true. But like to speak to Mike's deal, if next year they come out with 9th edition, you will lose a lot of players because that includes all of the repurchase of books and And that's what gets people out of the hobby when they are so ADD that they can't keep their stuff straight and they just keep flying more stuff onto the racks at $60 a book. That's when people give up and quit.
Well, but what I meant about that was that if you come out with an 8th edition, like, okay, so 8th edition is in flux right now. We're basically alpha testing everything, right? And then they decide that rather than call it 8th edition, we're going to call it 9th. They don't resell you all the codices and everything because by then they've all been tweaked. You know what I mean? They just send you, hey, these are the new or 8th edition version 2.0 or the final, not the beta. You know, whatever you want to call it.
I get it. I hear you. And I think that would be perfect. The problem is that they've never acted like that before. And now we're taking a dangerous precedent that video games took years ago, where before I used to get alphas for free and that we were the cheapest beta testers or alpha testers out there. All they had to do was give us the software and they didn't have to pay us, and we'd stream it and we'd play it and life was good and everybody enjoyed it. Now they charge you for it.
Yeah, now they sell you alphas.
Beta. Yeah, now they sell you alphas for like $100 for early access, and they want you to feel special. And their game sucks and never makes it to full release. That's what GW has to be careful of. Don't be that. Don't. Let's not call this an alpha. GW is better than that. They don't need to be doing this as a beta test. Beta test happens for free. It happens in a kind of this, vacuum where they give stuff out in PDF. You start playing it ahead of time, but the tournaments are still in the old book format. It happens at a different level so that only the people that are really intrigued by it are getting into it. They get it's usually going to be the hardcore players, and then they release it and charge everybody when all that's ironed out. What they've done now is they've released stuff and they're charging everybody money for it, and it's still not done. And the FAQs keep rolling in. And just like Privateer Press, now you've got a lot of money into it. You're having to pay more money every time they update their cards on their digital program and yada, yada, yada. And that's what scares people away because it is expensive. And so
there is an alternative that's worse, and that's they don't put out the FAQs. I just want to point that out.
I totally understand. I think
I'm down with some FAQs, but not at the severity we've seen.
Hey guys, I think I had a flawless analogy. This is literally trash in the wall.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna keep trash in the wall.
Shit is too real. There is a level of trash you can put in that wall, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? And so they're coming in kind of hot, and maybe it's because they're getting zealous. They're like, hey, maybe they realized, and this is crazy, right? Because like video games are a great analogy. When video games fuck up and there's something in there that needs to get rebalanced, that's kind of a headache, right? That's difficult. Their servers have to get down, pulled down. The codes have to be written. Like it's a whole thing. Like it's a hard job. GW just figured out, I think, like this year, that all they have to do is write a sentence and publish it on a Facebook page, and rules are fixed. So they just learned that that's how easy it is for them. And they're saying, hey, this was easy. Fuck, we got to make it for lost time. They're going hard to pay.
Yeah. Except that they also have, we can get into the whole business thing. They also have to look at how every single rule adjusts those units that they have already put forecasts for how much they're going to make. They don't just walk in on Wednesday and say, hey guys, everybody likes Storm Ravens. Let's build a bunch of Storm. No, they plan that shit out 6 months ahead of time. And so they write rules that affect sales of units that are real. And then
they pretend they don't.
No, and then they pretend they don't. But everybody's going to say a business of their size has to. That's just not the way it works.
No, you have to allocate for those resources.
Yeah, you just can't operate any different than that. Otherwise, you go away very quickly at their size. So, they are allocating, and that's why we're seeing things like, this guy called out in the lawsuit, hate to bring that up again, but, that he called out that, retailers can't get the product they want. Well, because GW's scared to allocate big numbers of product now, because now rules are in flux. People are in, their ideas are in flux about what's cool based on rules. So it changes their whole momentum. So I think we have to take all that into account. And I will agree. Somebody said in chat, and chat's blown through by already, is that, it is really big. At Monday night, game night here locally for me, Infinity Malifaux 40K run at this same big, huge place. And I have seen an updraft in 40K players like I haven't noticed in our area before. New guys, old guys who had put it away and put it on a shelf and are now digging out dusty, badly painted models that they did when they were like 12 and are playing with it now that they're 20. And that is awesome. All right. So I watched a game. I watched people throw dice. I had no idea what was going on. I saw Gilliman basically run the table on Blood Angels. You know, it's like, but it was bitching. It was good. People having fun, laughing, throwing dice. And that's the spirit of the game that I think, you know, we got to stick with. But the rules, no matter how much the competitive player is the one that focuses on them more than anything, the rules and the do and the redo will shed players if they don't find a way to get it more streamlined so that they aren't having to adjust things on a weekly basis, that they don't just get we can just do this whatever we want, because then you start looking like you don't know what you're doing, and people feel that. You know, if Toyota issues a car and it goes for one recall, that's fine. But if they have to send a recall every quarter for that car, nobody buys that damn car. And so you have to look at that. And even though this is games and this isn't your vehicle that gets you from place to place, the emotional attachment is very similar. And so I think that's been the biggest problem, you know, is find a way to keep these things strong on an ongoing basis so that you're not going back and changing the core fundamentals. Give us a foundation that makes it to where I can play this no matter who's bitching about what. And then if little things have to be tweaked on as you go, then, you know, you maybe do it quarterly, or, you know, you got the annual general's handbook and those kinds of things. And I think they're working towards it.
It's almost like GW, anytime, anywhere, bro. You know what I'm saying?
That's two solid analogies in one show.
Like anytime, anywhere, bro. But anyway, I wanted to finish the show out with a Grey Knight discussion, but we've gone on pretty long, so I think let's finish the show off, because that wasn't even the subject. We talked about Grey Knights in the webcast. If you guys are curious about that Grey Knight discussion, definitely check out the longword.net. But I think we should finish the show out with a quick Mortarion discussion, because we didn't talk about him yet here in the podcast. And we had some good stuff to talk about here. Like, right?
So you're really going to talk about Mortarion over Grey Knights? You're dead to me.
How dare you?
You are dead to me.
How dare you?
Dead.
Well, Haspil, I want you to take point on this discussion if you don't mind.
Mortarion?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's literally how I felt when I saw the model. Meh. Because I couldn't, I don't like it. Now, granted, I'm not a Chaos player. It's your guys' stuff, but let me tell you, if that was a picture of Lehman Russ that came out, I would be straight salty. I did not like the way the model looked. It could just be the angle that they took. I literally could not tell what I was looking at. I could tell it had wings and it was a blob of green and purple.
Paint job was horrible.
Well, you gotta. I mean, this isn't an official photo from Games Workshop or anything like that. This is a oversaturized or saturization, crop funny, no hard to see scale image. So I mean, you gotta shelf disbelief for just a second.
No, I 100% agree with Haspil. I love Mortarion. I love that motherfucker. And while technically this model is well made, as all GW models are at this point in the game, let's be honest, they fucking make the best plastic models on earth. It's fabulous. The details are there. I do agree with you though on the artwork side of the model it's really hard to tell what's going on. Like, he doesn't have that great of a definition. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a lot of defined borders. Like his face, what the fuck is that? Is that his face? Oh, it is his face. Is that his gas mask? Like, you know, it's really cool to have like armor blended into flesh and all that stuff, but I feel like they did a poor job defining the borders of the model and the artist side. And I do agree with Jason. I think the paint job is doing.
You were also talking about just the design in general. You wanted more of the Grim Reaper type, right?
Subjectively, I have been fantasizing about Mortarion and SNID for 15 years. And I've always envisioned him as a gaunt Grim Reaper like demon, like the bringer of death, as also described in like how he looked. So I that's how I always envisioned him as like tall, thin, gaunt, and skeletal.
Yeah, he's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
And so I knew that GW would go the other route, but so like that's a subjective, personal thing. I'm not super disappointed with that, because I didn't let myself be disappointed with that. I am disappointed though, like exactly what Haspil's points are, but also I echo Jason, and we mentioned that in the webcast briefly, is like, yo, literally GW, I understand what you're doing with your paint jobs, and you're creating a more accessible paint job for people so they know how to use your techniques and the washes and all your products to make models look great for the tabletop. You need to lift that when you're coming in on Mortarion, who people have been following along with in the novelizations of the heresy now for years. And we finally have the stories to back our love for the lore. That you need to be bringing the best motherfuckers to paint these guys. And it need to be unique. Like Magnus. Like, you guys, nothing in the Thousand Sun Army looks like Magnus. Like he existed outside of all those looks, and he looked amazing. The contrast was there, and the paint job sold the shit out of that model. Also, it's a better model than Mortarion, but I'm saying definitely paint job kind of fucking up.
I'm not mad at the whole model. I feel like I am always the one that's like, let's get it in our hands and see what we can do with it, because I know we can do better painting than they can to make it look like it. And
I said that in the webcast.
It seems fairly dynamic. I mean, until we get our hands on it, we won't know. Because like Rob said, images, pictures, angles, yada, yada, whatever. But, you know, I think that I want to see these big models be one that all my other models will bow down to. Like literally, I can see if this model walks into a room, everybody else goes, oh shit, he's here. And that one really kind of like Mike said, it just kind of like from the picture, at least, it's like, meh, it's just a big, you know, death guard. So.
He's a big death guard with plague drone wings. Like that's literally what he is. Like he's a big harbinger, plague harbinger or whatever. Yeah, and I can't wait to get my hands. I will pre-order the fuck out of that. I will paint the shit out of one on stream, and I will make sure that contrast is preserved and you can see all those weird details, and I will do my best. But now that we've talked about how disappointed we are, it seems like 4 out of 5. Let's talk about how tough do you think this motherfucker is going to be?
7.
You think he's going to
I know Kenny's going hard with T8. I'm leaning towards T7 with Rob. If we had to put money on it,
I think if some of the Death Guard rules from the book or some of the Nurgle rules from the Chaos Codex or any indicator, he's going to have a lot of evasion principles and abilities. So, you know, maybe kind of scale it back on the toughness 8 with a lot of like neg 1 to hit and you know, feel no pain built-in things might be just too much. I think toughness 7 might be the way to go there.
I'm just saying the model doesn't look T8 to me. Maybe Mortarion should be T8.
You both have swayed me as in your fusion that you just did. I agree with you. If he's gonna have disgusting resilient,
yes.
If he's gonna have -1 to hit psychic power potentials and possibly other powers that echo his 30k rules, then I agree. Toughness.
Oh yeah. Let's not forget he's going to probably be healing himself like his Nurgle princes and his, you know.
Yeah. So you're probably right. You make a really good argument, and he doesn't look toughness 8.
No, that's probably the only thing that convinced me is like that model's not T8. He could be.
Here's some hot new rules about toughness on Mortarion. Actually, I just found these. Grey Knights can take Stormhawks and Storm Talons now. We get chaplains.
Breaking.
We get chaplains, and you can get a Grandmaster and a Dread Knight, and there's 3 whole pages of cool stuff, and everything else in the book is pretty much out of the index. There you go.
You did it.
Hot off the press, Mortarion heat.
Mortarion toughness.
Welcome to Spin Doctoring 101 with Mike Haspil.
Snuck it in there.
That's just efficiency, Mike Haspil.
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow.